Imagine you are building a starship. You wouldn't just start welding pieces of metal together, would you? Of course not. You would need a detailed plan, a blueprint. This blueprint would show every wire, every bolt, and every system. It would guide you from the very first step to the final launch. A research protocol is exactly that. It is the blueprint for your scientific journey. It is a written document that describes every single step of your research study. It's your map to the stars of knowledge, ensuring you don't get lost in the vastness of the unknown. It lays out the entire plan for everyone involved to see and understand. This detailed plan is incredibly important. It is not just for you, the researcher. It is for your team, for the people who fund your work, and for the ethical review boards that protect participants. A good protocol shows that you have thought carefully about your study. It proves that your research is well-planned, scientifically sound, and ethically responsible. It acts as a contract, a promise that you will conduct your research in a specific, rigorous way. Without this guide, your project might drift aimlessly, like a ship without a rudder, wasting time, resources, and potentially even endangering the very people you hope to help. Think of the protocol as a recipe for a complex dish. Every ingredient must be listed. Every measurement must be precise. Every step must be followed in the correct order. If you miss an ingredient or change a step, the final dish might be a disaster. Similarly, a research protocol ensures consistency. If different people are working on the study, they all follow the same instructions. This means the results you get are reliable. You can trust them. This consistency is the bedrock of good science. It allows other scientists to understand, evaluate, and even replicate your work, which is how our collective understanding of the universe grows. So, a research protocol is more than just a document. It is the heart of your research project. It is your guide, your rulebook, and your promise of quality. It forces you to think through every detail before you even begin. This process of planning helps you spot potential problems early on. You can fix them on paper before they become real-world issues. It is the ultimate tool for ensuring your quest for knowledge is systematic, ethical, and successful. It transforms a simple idea into a structured exploration of the cosmos, one question at a time. It is the difference between stargazing and astrophysics. The very first thing anyone will see is the title page. This is your study's handshake, its first introduction to the world. It needs to be clear, professional, and informative. A good title should be concise but also descriptive. It should capture the essence of your research in just a few words. For example, a title like A Study on Plants is too vague. A better title would be The Effect of Red Light Wavelengths on Tomato Plant Growth. This tells the reader exactly what the study is about. It gives them a clear window into the universe you're about to explore. The title sets the first expectation for the quality of the work within. This page contains more than just the title. It should also include the names of all the researchers involved in the project. We call them the principal investigator and co-investigators. Their affiliations, meaning the universities or institutions where they work, must also be listed. Think of it like the crew manifest of a starship. You need to know who is on board for this journey of discovery. This information adds credibility to your study. It shows who is responsible for the work and where the research is coming from. It connects your individual effort to the larger scientific community and its established centers of learning. Contact information is also a crucial part of the title page. You must include the email address and phone number for the main researcher, the principal investigator. This is important for communication. Funding agencies, ethical review boards, or other scientists might need to contact you with questions. Making this information easy to find shows that you are open and accessible. It says, "We are here, and we are ready to discuss our work." It builds a bridge of communication between your research team and the wider world, inviting dialogue and collaboration. It is a sign of a confident and transparent scientific endeavor. Finally, the title page often includes the date the protocol was written and any version number. Research is a dynamic process. Plans can change. You might need to update your protocol as you learn new things. Keeping track of versions is essential. It ensures that everyone on your team is using the most current blueprint. Imagine if one engineer was working from an old Starship blueprint while another used a new one. The pieces wouldn't fit together. Version control prevents this kind of confusion. It keeps your entire crew aligned and working toward the same well-defined goal. After the title page, you present the introduction and background. This is where you tell the story of your research. You set the stage. You explain why your study is important. You must describe what we already know about your topic. This is called a literature review. You look at previous studies, at the work of the scientists who came before you. You are standing on the shoulders of giants, and this section is where you acknowledge them. You show that you have done your homework and understand the current state of knowledge in your field. This provides the context for your own exploration. Think of yourself as an astronomer pointing a telescope at a tiny patch of a vast, dark sky. The introduction explains why you are looking at that specific patch. You describe the galaxy, the star cluster, and the specific star system you are interested in. You explain what other astronomers have seen in this region. You highlight the big questions that remain unanswered. You are building a case for your research. You are convincing the reader that there is a genuine gap in our understanding of the universe, a mystery that needs to be solved. This justification is critical for getting support and funding for your quest. This section must clearly state the problem your research aims to address. What is the puzzle? What is the challenge? For example, the problem might be that a certain disease has no effective treatment. Or perhaps we don't understand why a particular star behaves the way it does. You need to frame this problem in a way that is compelling and easy to understand. The introduction should lead the reader from a broad overview of the topic to the specific, focused problem that your study will tackle. It's like a cosmic zoom lens, starting with the whole universe and focusing down onto a single, fascinating point of interest. The final part of the introduction is the rationale. This is where you make your pitch. You explain why your study is the right way to solve the problem. You argue that the knowledge you gain will be valuable. Perhaps it will lead to a new medicine, a better technology, or a deeper understanding of the cosmos. The rationale connects the gap in knowledge to the potential benefit of filling it. It answers the crucial question: so what? Why should anyone care about your research? A strong rationale inspires confidence and excitement. It shows that your journey of discovery is not just interesting but truly meaningful. Now we arrive at the heart of your blueprint, the research question and objectives. This is perhaps the most important part of the entire protocol. A well-defined research question is like a bright North Star. It provides direction for your entire study. Everything else in your protocol, your methods, your data collection, your analysis, is designed to answer this single question. A vague question leads to a vague and wandering study. A clear, focused question leads to clear, meaningful results. It is the destination you are programming into your Starship's navigation system. It must be precise. Your main research question should be broken down into smaller, manageable pieces. These are your objectives. Think of the main question as the mission. Explore the Alpha Centauri system. The objectives are the specific tasks. 1. Map the planets orbiting the star. 2. Analyze the atmosphere of each planet. 3. Search for signs of liquid water. Each objective should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. We call this the SMART framework. These objectives act as waypoints on your journey, small victories that, when combined, achieve the overall mission. They break down a giant leap into a series of small, manageable steps. Let's look at an example. A broad research question might be, is social media bad for teenagers? This is too big and undefined. A better, more focused question would be, what is the relationship between the number of hours per day spent on Instagram and the self-reported anxiety levels of 13 to 15-year-olds? From this question, you can create clear objectives. For example, 1. To measure the daily time spent on Instagram by a sample of 200 teenagers. 2. To measure the anxiety levels of the same teenagers using a standardized questionnaire. 3. To statistically analyze the correlation between these two variables. The objectives guide every decision you make. They determine what kind of data you need to collect. They influence who you need to include in your study. They shape how you will analyze your findings. When you write your objectives, use clear action verbs like to measure, to compare, to identify, or to describe. Avoid vague terms like to understand or to explore. The clarity of your objectives ensures that you know exactly what you need to do at every stage of the research. They are the commands you give to your research team, the instructions that guide the machinery of your investigation. The methodology section is, honestly, the technical core of your protocol. It's like, well, the engine room of your starship. Here, you describe exactly how you will answer your research question. This section must be incredibly detailed. Really, another scientist should be able to read your methodology and replicate your study exactly. That's actually a cornerstone of the scientific method. It ensures that your results are verifiable. You must explain your research design. Will it be an experiment, a survey, an observational study, or maybe something else? The design you choose depends entirely on the question you are asking. First, you must describe your study population. Who are you studying? Are they stars, people, cells, or historical documents? You need to be specific. If you are studying people, you must define your inclusion and exclusion criteria. Inclusion criteria are the characteristics someone must have to be in your study. For example, female, between the ages of 40 and 60, diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Exclusion criteria are characteristics that would prevent someone from participating, like having another serious illness or taking a specific medication. This ensures you have a well-defined group, which makes your results clearer and more meaningful. Next, you explain your sampling method. It's usually impossible to study everyone or everything in a population. So you take a sample, a smaller group that represents the whole. How will you select this sample? Will you choose people randomly, like drawing names from a hat? This is called random sampling. Or will you choose them based on convenience, like asking students in your university? The way you choose your sample affects how much you can generalize your findings. A random sample allows you to say your results likely apply to the whole population. A convenient sample means your results might only apply to the group you studied. Finally, you must describe the procedures of your study step by step. What will you do to each participant? What measurements will you take? What tools or instruments will you use? For our tomato plant study, you would describe the type of soil, the size of the pots, the exact wavelength of the red light, how many hours the light will be on, and how you will measure plant height. Every detail matters. This meticulous description removes ambiguity. It ensures that the study is conducted the same way every time, for every participant. This rigor is what gives science its power. It is the disciplined engine that propels us toward new discoveries. Section 6. Ethical Considerations, Our Moral Compass. You know, science is not just about discovering what is true, it's also about doing so in a way that's right and just. The Ethical Considerations section is your moral compass. It shows that you've thought deeply about the well-being of your research participants. This becomes especially critical when your research involves humans or animals. The first principle is to do no harm. You must identify any potential risks to your participants. These risks could be physical, like a side effect from a new drug. They could also be psychological, like causing stress or anxiety with sensitive questions. You must be honest and thorough in identifying every possible risk. Once you've identified the risks, you must explain how you will minimize them. What steps will you take to protect your participants? For example, if your survey asks about sensitive topics, you must ensure the participants' privacy. You will make the data anonymous, meaning no one can trace the answers back to a specific person. If a procedure could cause discomfort, you must have plans in place to manage it. Your job as a researcher is not just to gather data, but to be a guardian for the people who entrust you with their time and their information. This section proves you take that responsibility seriously. A cornerstone of ethical research is informed consent. This means that every person who participates in your study must fully understand what they are agreeing to. You must prepare a consent form that explains the study in simple, clear language. It should describe the purpose of the research, what the participant will have to do, all the potential risks, and any potential benefits. It must also state very clearly that participation is voluntary. They can choose not to join, and they can choose to leave the study at any time without any penalty. Informed consent is about respecting the autonomy and dignity of every individual. Before you can even begin your research, your protocol must be reviewed by an institutional review board or an ethics committee. This is an independent committee of scientists, doctors, and community members. Their job is to read your protocol and ensure that it is ethically sound. They are the ultimate guardians of participant welfare. They will check that the risks are minimized and are reasonable in relation to the potential benefits of the research. Only after this committee gives its approval can you begin your journey of discovery. This process ensures that our quest for knowledge never comes at an unacceptable human cost. Section 7. Data collection and analysis, gathering stardust. This section details the nuts and bolts of your information gathering. It describes how you will collect your stardust, your data. You need to be very specific about the tools and methods you will use. Will you use a questionnaire, a laboratory instrument, an interview, or direct observation? If you're using a questionnaire, you should include a copy of it in your protocol. If you're using a piece of equipment, you need to describe the make and model and how you will calibrate it to ensure it gives accurate readings. This is about creating a clear and repeatable process for gathering your raw information. You also need to describe your data management plan. Once you collect your data, where will it go? How will you store it securely? This is especially important for sensitive information. You might use encrypted computer files, locked filing cabinets, and systems that remove personal identifiers to protect confidentiality. You need a plan for keeping the data organized and safe. Think of it like a cosmic library. You are collecting precious books of information. You need a good cataloging system and a secure vault to make sure nothing gets lost or damaged. A good data management plan is essential for maintaining the integrity of your research from start to finish. After you have collected your data, you need to analyze it. The data analysis plan describes the statistical methods you will use to make sense of your numbers. You don't just collect data and see what you find. You must plan your analysis in advance, based on your research objectives. What statistical tests will you use to compare your groups or to look for relationships? For our tomato plant study, we might plan to use a t-test to compare the average height of plants under red light to a control group. Stating your analysis plan in advance prevents you from cherry-picking results, which is a serious scientific misstep. This plan connects your raw data back to your research question. It is the process of turning numbers and observations into knowledge and insight. It is how you translate the faint signals from the cosmos into a clear message. Your analysis plan should be detailed enough for another statistician to understand and evaluate it. It shows that you have a clear path from the data you will collect to the conclusions you hope to draw. This forethought ensures that when you finally get your data, you know exactly what to do with it. You are not just wandering through a forest of numbers. You are following a well-marked trail to an answer. Section 8. The timeline and budget. Navigating time and resources. A research project doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens in the real world, a world of deadlines and limited resources. The timeline is your project schedule. It is a plan that shows when each part of your research will happen. You should break down the entire project into major phases, like obtaining ethical approval, recruiting participants, collecting data, analyzing data, and writing the final report. For each phase, you should set a start date and an end date. A visual chart, like a Gantt chart, is often a very effective way to display your timeline. It helps everyone on the team see what needs to be done and when. This timeline is a critical management tool. It helps you stay on track. It allows you to see if you are falling behind schedule so you can make adjustments. It is also essential for your funders and your institution. They need to know that you have a realistic plan for completing the work in a reasonable amount of time. A well-thought-out timeline demonstrates that you are organized and have a practical understanding of the research process. It shows that you respect not only the scientific method, but also the practical constraints of time. It is the flight plan for your mission, ensuring you reach your destination on schedule. Alongside the timeline, you need a budget. Research costs money. You need to think about every single expense your project will have. This includes personnel costs, like salaries for research assistants. It includes the cost of equipment, from computers to specialized laboratory instruments. It includes supplies like chemicals, questionnaires, or even postage stamps. You might also need to budget for participant compensation, travel to research sites, or fees for publishing your results in a scientific journal. Creating a detailed budget requires careful thought and research into the actual costs of these items. It is a very practical and necessary step. The budget justification is a key part of this section. You don't just list the costs, you must explain why each expense is necessary for the project. Why do you need 3 research assistants instead of 2? Why do you need this specific expensive piece of equipment? This justification shows your funders that you are not wasting their money. It proves that every dollar you are asking for has a specific purpose that is directly linked to achieving your research objectives. A clear, well-justified budget is often the difference between a project that gets funded and one that remains just an idea. It is the fuel that powers your starship. Section 9. Dissemination. Sharing your discoveries with the world. The final step in any research journey is to share what you have found. A discovery that is kept secret is no discovery at all. Science is a collaborative, global conversation, and your findings are your contribution to that conversation. The dissemination plan describes how you will share your results with the wider world. The primary way scientists do this is by publishing their work in a peer-reviewed scientific journal. This means other experts in your field will review your study for quality and accuracy before it is published. This process helps to ensure the reliability of scientific knowledge. Your plan should identify potential journals where you might submit your work. But publishing is not the only way to share your findings. You should also plan to present your results at scientific conferences. This is a chance to talk directly to other researchers, answer their questions, and get valuable feedback. It allows you to engage with the community in real time. You might also think about other audiences. Could your findings be useful to policymakers, doctors, teachers, or the general public? You might plan to write a summary of your results in simpler language for a broader audience. Sharing your results is an ethical responsibility. When people participate in your study, they do so with the expectation that their contribution will help advance knowledge. By sharing the results, you are honoring their contribution. This is especially true if your research was funded by public money. The public has a right to know what was learned with their investment. Disseminating your findings completes the research cycle. It allows other scientists to build on your work, to test your findings, and to push the boundaries of our understanding even further. It is how the great tapestry of science is woven, thread by thread. In conclusion, a well-crafted research protocol is the foundation of any successful study. It is your blueprint for discovery, your map to the stars. From the clear title to the detailed methodology and the plan for sharing your results, every section plays a vital role. It forces you to think critically, plan meticulously, and act ethically. It transforms a simple question into a rigorous, systematic investigation. Mastering the art of writing a protocol is the first giant leap for any aspiring researcher. It is the essential tool that allows us to navigate the vast cosmos of the unknown and bring back discoveries that can change the world.